Streaming live now on News8000.com. You're watching WKBT La Crosse. This is News 8 Now at noon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for watching News 8 Now. I'm Sophia Pullman. It is Friday, June 16th. This morning, the U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland held a news conference in Minneapolis to release the results of the 2-year investigation into the city and city's police department. The Department of Justice determined that MPD and the city engage in a pattern or practice of conduct that deprives people of their rights under the Constitution and federal law. Other findings the DOJ found included MPD use of excessive force, unjustified deadly force, and unlawfully discriminates against people of color. MPD violating rights of people engaged in protected speech or discrimination against behavior disabilities. We will have more on this later as the story develops. As smoke moves through the upper Midwest, there are ways to keep yourself safe. Doctors say particles from the smoke can affect how lungs function. So avoiding breathing the hazy air can minimize the effects. Experts say if you are outside, certain masks can help.
It's really only the N95 and N100 masks that are effective. Smoke involves particles that are quite small, usually on the order of about 2.5 to 10 microns. You really need to have those N95 and N100 masks. You need to have them fitted properly as well too in order to protect yourself.
Particles from smoke can affect how lungs function, making it difficult for your body to fight off viruses or get rid of debris. Doctors say anyone with pre-existing lung conditions and people with a poor immune system should take extra care. We might not have the same wildfires as Canada, but recent weather has created the right conditions for brush fires. In the town of Farmington on Thursday, the wind picked up a spark which led to a fire in a field. Farmington's fire chief says the town's sandy ground conditions make it easy for fire to spread. But if you do light something, the chief says to check twice to make sure it's out.
The way the conditions are now, things can take off and go in a hurry. You may think you'll be able to handle it, and if you think it's getting away, don't be afraid to call 911.
He says he's hoping for rain to come soon. All burning permits in Farmington are currently suspended.
Well, it serves a beautiful start here to the afternoon across the Coulee region. We got mostly sunny skies here to work with outside. Slightly on the hazy side, but not as bad as what we had yesterday here, however. But there are some air quality alerts in effect for some of us. This is still in effect for our northeastern counties of Iowa, in Allamakee, and also into Winneshiek County until 10 o'clock tonight. That's because the air quality index will be reaching that unhealthy unhealthy level for those sensitive groups. So if you happen to fall in that category, just make sure that you limit your time outside and kind of stay inside as much as you can. Current temperatures are into the 60s, low 70s here in some spots, including La Crosse at 70 degrees, 71. Feeling comfortable there in Sparta, 66 in Winona, and looking at mostly clear skies right now on the satellite and radar picture. As we take you into your afternoon forecast, this is what we can expect really throughout the rest of the day. Lots of sunshine, seasonable temperatures as well, highs into those mid to upper 70s for the most part, and a light easterly breeze at around 5 miles an hour. So I would check on that full weather forecast coming up in just a bit. Sophia?
A funding increase to the program that helps fund local governments is now on the governor's desk. The increase to what's known as shared revenue would be the first in 2 decades. But how does it work, and when could your local town see that new money? Let's take a look.
Legislature actually did its job.
That's what Senator Brad Pfaff says the shared revenue bill tells Wisconsinites.
I'm proud to vote for it.
All Coulee region lawmakers did, because after years of state budget cuts and frozen property tax revenue, towns and municipalities faced cuts to services like garbage, snow removal, and police, fire, and EMS.
20% of the state sales tax would then also be sent back to our local units of government.
It directly connects the funding for municipalities to economic growth.
That will be supplemental aid on top of the property tax revenue and state income tax that the shared revenue program has been built on.
Having that increase provides us a little bit of breathing room and a whole lot of ability to maintain the services that are necessary.
Cities like La Crosse all the way down to small villages are now less likely to need a referendum to fund basic services. However, the new money does come with strings attached.
Portion of this new money must be used for police and fire.
Up to 35% of the new money. And if any towns reduce their police force, their budget gets slashed. Another string triggers a partial ban on local advisory referendums.
They can still, though, have an advisory referendum if it's a capital improvement project.
La Crosse and Eau Claire had advisory referendums on the state's abortion ban this spring, which could have contributed to record voter turnout. Those referendums would be banned under this bill. Senate Democrats argued against that on Wednesday, but the ban stood with Republican support.
I think they're cutting off their nose in spite of their face. I think that we should never walk away from hearing from the voices of the people.
PAF and other representatives agree the bipartisan bill is successful because it also eliminates the personal property tax. Small businesses have paid that every year for things like their own tables and chairs, and it's a tax both parties have opposed. Should Evers sign the bill, the shared revenue increases would kick in next summer. After the break, if you have used Google search in the past, you might be able to collect part of a $23 million settlement. Stocks rallied Thursday as new federal data shows retail sales grew in May 0.3%, defying economists' predictions. The Dow climbed 428 points, the Nasdaq shot up 156 points, and the S&P 500 gained 53 points. CBS News' Chanel Call has the latest business news headlines from New York.
Ticketmaster owner Live Nation and SeatGeek have announced they will no longer have hidden fees, meaning full costs of tickets will soon be visible to customers up front. It came the same day President Biden hosted executives from those companies and others to tout the administration's work to crack down on so-called junk fees, which surprise consumers. If you've done a Google search and clicked on a results link between October 25th, 2006 and September 30th, 2013, you can now collect part of a $23 million settlement. It's part of a lawsuit that alleged the tech giant violated users' privacy by sharing their search terms to third-party websites. Claims must be made online within the next 6 weeks, and the website says the average payout will be around $7.70 per person. Google continues to deny the allegations. And Sunday is Father's Day. A National Retail Federation survey shows that Americans plan to spend a record high $22 billion to celebrate. The top gifts for dad are special outings, followed by clothing and gift cards. That's your CBS News Money Watch report. For more, log on to cbsmoneywatch.com. At the CBS Broadcast Center, I'm Chanel Call.
That's it for your afternoon consumer news. As we head to break, here's a live look at the New York Stock Exchange. Stay with us. More news is next. An unexpected benefit of breastfeeding and why high-quality childcare is important. Michael George has a look at some of the day's top health stories.
New research published by the American Psychological Association finds babies and toddlers who receive high-quality childcare do better in science and math through high school. Scientists say the link is stronger among children from low-income families, and that their finding highlights the importance of raising kids in a supportive, stimulating environment in order to build a strong foundation for success later in life. Breastfeeding may help mothers avoid type 2 diabetes. In tests on mice, researchers at Yale found breastfeeding can improve the number of insulin-producing cells in the pancreas and increase insulin sensitivity in mothers, which can protect them against type 2 diabetes later in life. And a new study finds a medication called bempedoic acid may reduce the risk of health issues just as well as statins. Statins are widely prescribed to lower cholesterol, but some patients taking them suffer from muscle and joint pain. Doctors say bempedoic acid could be an alternative for some people. That's a look at some of the day's top health stories. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
That's it for our medical news today. Here's a look at CityCam 8. Derek is in next with our forecast.
Well, it sure is a beautiful start to the afternoon across the area, but there are some air quality alerts in effect for some of us. You probably noticed it's a little bit hazy outside, but not as bad, of course, as what we've been dealing with here yesterday. We'll get to CityCam in just a bit, but I do want to go ahead and show you across our northeastern counties of Alameda and Winneshiek County dealing with air quality alerts here until 10 p.m. tonight. And that's because the ozone pollution near the surface here is a problem, and that's creating unhealthy conditions for sensitive groups. So if you're going to be out and about here in those two counties today, make sure that you're taking those necessary frequent breaks, especially those of you that may be falling under that sensitive group criteria, and spend more time inside. We're still kind of dealing with a little bit of some of that smoke and haze from the Canadian wildfires for some of us down south. But here across the Coulee region, La Crosse, we're not necessarily dealing with that too much. 70 degrees, a few clouds, visibility looking good at 10 miles, east winds at 5. Meanwhile, it's the north in Eau Claire, 69 degrees here, lots of sunshine, east-southeast winds at 7 miles an hour. Current temperatures across the rest of the area, mainly in the 60s, upper 60 that is, to low 70s. Definitely feeling comfortable outside here today, and our forecast highs are only expected to warm up a little bit further. I'm thinking into the mid to upper 70s, some spots like La Crosse today, reaching a high of 80 degrees. Meanwhile, for you in Eau Claire, you're looking at a high of 77. So a check now on your planner, looking at lots of sunshine at 1 o'clock, and the sunshine really is just going to continue. It looks like throughout the day with temperatures well into the mid 70s, and you can see right now things continue to remain very clear and very dry and just overall quiet as high pressure to the north continues to build in across the area, and that's only going to continue really throughout the rest of the day today. Now it's going to start moving away here. As you can see, it's going to start pushing its way towards the east as we head into tonight. That could give way to some cloud cover, so a little bit more moisture to develop off to the west, because after all, we're kind of watching this next disturbance here, a little bit of a trough of low pressure that is going to be moving in our general direction. That will help increase the moisture in the cloud cover as we head into tonight just a little bit. Maybe a slight chance of a shower is possible. I think better chances maybe on Sunday, but for the most part, things remain very dry and quiet as an upper level ridging pattern here is expected to develop, especially as we head into next week. And that in turn is going to cause some very dry, warm, and just sunny weather conditions here for us to work with, and at times could even turn pretty hot. In fact, next week I'm expecting high temperatures to be near the low 90s starting Tuesday, and then just continue throughout the rest of next week here as well for the majority of that, and looking at lows mainly into the 60s, and just overall mix of sun and cloud cover there for us to work with. Again, unfortunately not really a whole lot in the way of rain chances, maybe Sunday, but that's really about it here.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah.
When we come back, we have the latest on the cyber attack that has targeted the U.S.
The news continues on News 8 Now. Expect more.
Who doesn't love sea turtles? Friday marks the annual celebration of the shelled explorers of the ocean. It's World Sea Turtle Day. There are 7 species of sea turtles, and they're living dinosaurs. The reptiles have been around for over 100 million years. Some of them can weigh up to 2,000 pounds and dive nearly 4,000 feet deep. Most sea turtles are endangered. You can help by not throwing plastic and other debris into waterways. Also obey all lighting regulations where sea turtles are nesting. Artificial light can confuse hatchlings and draw them inland instead of out to the ocean, which can cause them to dry out and die. A U.S. government agency has been caught up in the latest ransomware attack coming from overseas. Natalie Brand has more details from Washington, D.C.
At least one major U.S. government agency and several private institutions have fallen victim to cyber criminals who are demanding ransom for stolen data.
This criminal group has started to put the data that they extorted out on the dark web because they're trying to get companies to pay for it.
Targets include the Energy Department, as well as Johns Hopkins affiliated hospitals in Maryland and Florida, Georgia's statewide university system, and the Minnesota Department of Education. Shell and British Airways were also hit in the global attack. The hackers infiltrated a popular file-sharing app called MoveIt to gain access to the sites. Bob Gurley is the former chief technology officer for the Defense Intelligence Agency.
This MoveIt file transfer app is widely used because it makes securing data so convenient. It makes it easy to move data in a way that's encrypted.
Officials say a Russia-based cyber criminal gang called Clop is behind the attack.
They never attack Russian targets. And the software they use, it seems to be configured to where it will not attack a system that uses a Cyrillic keyboard. Isn't that an interesting coincidence?
U.S. officials say there's no evidence the hackers coordinated their attack with the Russian government. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
A U.S. cybersecurity official says so far no federal agencies have received extortion demands and no federal data has been leaked. Many organizations had already patched the vulnerability before the ransomware group was able to intrude. Stay with us. We'll have one more check of your forecast and, yeah, just our forecast when we returned.
Here's a check on your 8-day forecast. We are looking at mixed clouds and sun today and tomorrow. A slight chance of a shower or storm possible on Sunday. Now, as we take you into next week, mix of sun and clouds really for the most part. Again, just dry and hot as high temperatures will near those low 90s and lows in the 60s across the area. You know, we could use some rain here, Sophia. I think, you know, our best bet is probably for Father's Day, but I'm not expecting a washout at all.
We can definitely use the rain, but I think the dads are going to want to be outside grilling on Sunday.
And I think it will be good for that, so yeah, it should be fine.
Thanks, Derek, and thank you for watching News 8 Now. Have a great weekend. You can catch us again at 5 and 6, and have a great Father's Day to all the dads out there.